Hi, I'm Leezá Steindorf. I'm an international leadership coach, a member of the Forbes Coaches Council, and for over 2 decades, I've helped leaders and change makers find their voice, their confidence, and their calm power. And today I want to reframe something you might be carrying as a weakness, being the youngest person in the room. If that's you, maybe you've just joined a team, or you've stepped into leadership early, or walked into a boardroom full of people old enough to be your mentors, you might feel like you don't belong yet. But I'll tell you right now, good, good. That's not your disadvantage. It's actually your advantage. Let me show you why. So let's begin with clarity. What you think you lack is not actually what other people are judging. Here's the first truth. Most of the pressure you feel isn't coming from them. It's coming from you. You walk into that room and instantly start scanning. Who's older? Who's more experienced? Who sounds smarter? Right? These are the conversations we have. And before a single person even opens their mouth, you've already decided that your voice doesn't carry weight. But leadership doesn't live in age. Literally, it doesn't. It lives in presence. And what people remember is how you show up, not how long you've been around or how long you've been doing this. So think about it. Who's the last person who impressed you? It probably wasn't the loudest person. Most likely it was the person who spoke with calm, with clarity, who listened with intent, who didn't need to prove anything, who really showed up, who was present, right? You're not less than because you're younger. You simply haven't been taught to value what you naturally bring. You bring a fresh perception, adaptability, creative thinking, emotional honesty, energy, right? And the moment you realize that, everything shifts. So just try this out, micro practice. Before your next meeting, instead of asking, God, do I belong here? Or I'm not as skilled or I'm not as experienced. Ask yourself, what unique lens do I bring that no one else can? And write down one sentence that captures what that unique lens is. And you hold that in your mind. That sentence is your quiet anchor in every conversation. This is what I bring. This is what's unique. All right, let's talk about ownership and reclaiming your place without needing to ask for permission. That's a big one. So let's go deeper. When you sit small or stay quiet or constantly pre-apologize, and I know that can become a habit, that's not humility. That's actually self-rejection. And it's dressed up as being polite. Real humility isn't about shrinking. It's not about making yourself less so other people can feel bigger. It really isn't. It's about knowing your exact size, your grandeur, your stature, and then standing in that fully. You don't need to mimic the veterans in the room, and you don't need to try and be older or more experienced than you already are. Just own your presence. Own what you bring to the table. It's valuable or you wouldn't be there, right? And that looks like trusting your curiosity, trusting your instinct, and your modern lens. You're bringing something fresh and new into the room that they don't have if they're older. So even when it challenges the status quo, that's important that you bring that. And of course, you can learn more, and so can they from you. So here's the part that no one says out loud. Just think about this. The people that are in charge, they don't have it all figured out either. Nobody does. But they have probably gotten better at acting like they've got it figured out. Or they have experience they can speak from, and that may feel intimidating. Don't let it. You're bringing something that they don't have any longer, that fresh idea, that new perspective. That's valuable. Yeah. And when you show up with openness instead of a pretense or trying to be something that you're not, it reminds everyone in the room that real confidence does not need armor to protect itself. It's just being who you are. So try this out. When you feel that impulse to shrink or to apologize for yourself, plant both your feet on the ground or sit up taller in the chair And take one slow inhale through your nose. And as you exhale, silently repeat to yourself, I belong because I'm here. No one gave you that seat. You earned it by showing up and being who you are and bringing what you bring to the table. Trust that. Okay, let's talk about resolution. And the way that I speak about resolution is how do we bring things into alignment? So, for example, how can you lead without having the years behind you? And if you're wondering, okay, but what do I actually really do differently? Let's make it tangible. So, first thing, let's say speak once before you feel ready. Literally, don't prepare because when we wait for confidence, it's like waiting for permission. You'll be waiting forever. Jump in early with curiosity. You don't have to be certain. Sometimes you'll be right on mark, sometimes you won't be. Doesn't matter. Just try it. Speak once before you feel ready. Another one, ask strategic questions, right? So when you have that curiosity, you can ask questions like, what outcomes matter the most here? Or how will this, what we're discussing, how will this affect the team long term? So questions that interest you express the depth that you possess. And they also earn trust, right? Then people are listening to you, and that's going to earn you a lot more trust than trying to be clever. Be interested. All right, another thing you can do is physically, literally sit forward, not back. Body language, it broadcasts. So when you're fully present in body and mind, show it. Leaning in, literally, signals you're engaged, not intimidated, right? So instead of just kind of hanging back here, bring yourself physically into the conversation. Another thing, drop the disclaimers. Don't preface your contributions. So you don't need to say, I might be wrong about this, or I'm really not so sure. Start with, here's how I'm seeing it. What do you think? It invites dialogue. It invites people into what you've said instead of them figuring out if you're asking for approval of what you've said. Trust what you want to bring to the table. And one more thing is reflect credit generously, right? When you shine light on other people's contributions, what they did well, what you appreciate about them, you build influence. It doesn't have to be loud, but it will last, right? And these are all small shifts. They're small changes that will actually have a ripple effect in your world. They change how people see you, and also it changes how you see yourself when you're actually being different in the world and trusting yourself. So here's a mini practice. At the end of your next group conversation, just write down one line. What did I contribute today that mattered? It could be an idea, a question, maybe just listening calmly to someone who was energized, whatever. And then acknowledge yourself for showing up that way, because that kind of awareness of yourself, that builds your authority. All right, let's talk about excellence. And excellence, the way that I speak of it, is bringing your highest and your best and connecting with that in other people is what leadership really is about. So let's define leadership. Okay, it's not about seniority. It's about your sincerity, your presence, as I've said already. If you are the youngest person in the room, good. You bring fresh perspective. You notice patterns that others have stopped even recognizing. You challenge assumptions by simply being different. That's not arrogance. That's necessary. It's evolution and it's a gift. It's like oxygen in the room and it's desperately needed, right? Trust that. Every generation needs the next one to push the conversation forward. We get stuck in our ways, right? So stop waiting to be older or louder or more polished. Start being present, curious, and be real with who you are. Bring that to the table. Trust that. It's wanted, it's needed. And the sooner that you stop shrinking yourself, the sooner that others are going to rise up and meet you right where you are, right at your actual height. And one day you'll look across that room and you'll realize that you've become the kind of leader that you actually once looked for. And not because years have passed, but because you've brought your presence. All right. If this hit home for you, don't keep it for yourself. Drop a comment When was the moment you realized your voice had power? Or how did this work out for you in the workplace, in that last meeting, in your boardroom? Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share with someone who's been doubting their right to speak up. You do not need more years to lead. You just need to show up as yourself fully.